Facing?
The camera?
No, it's okay. Side shots or something.
It's always like that. Like this.
Okay. Hey, Paul. This is what I want.
Alors, on est de retour en ondes sur les ondes de 99media.org. On est toujours en direct de l'Université d'Ottawa pour le Forum social des peuples 2014. Je vous invite à surveiller notre site internet 99media.org. Tout nouveau réseau, nouvelle façon de rester connecté, une nouvelle façon de distribuer l'information. Venez nous visiter 99media.org. So hello everyone, we are back live on 99media.org. We're still live from the People's Social Forum at the University of Ottawa. And while we're waiting for our guests to come so we can have a few interviews go, I'm inviting you all to come and visit our website at 99media.org and find out a brand new social network. All our short movies are there, our full documentaries are on there. It's a brand new social network. You can tag your friends, you can have a wall, you can make groups. So come visit our website. And oh yeah, I totally forgot. For the People's Social Forum, we are tagging along with Rabble.ca. So yeah, you can find us on the website and you can find them on our website.
Good. So the groups are just back into their breakout sessions now, and they're talking about next steps and where they want to go from here. So we're just gonna go through and do a report back from each group. Sure, yeah. So
step into the light.
And the videographer again is not ready. This is live, man. This is live.
The videographer was busy.
It's his fault. It's his fault. It's his fault.
It's always my fault. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Of course.
Yeah.
okay.
See, this is entertaining. People need to be entertained during your blunders.
All right. Just do one thing. When it's her turn to talk, just take the microphone out and put it on her, and stay near her so that the microphone wire doesn't break.
Okay, perfect. So we're good to go.
We are good to go.
Okay, so the breakout groups are meeting again, and this time their discussion is focused on next steps and where to go from here. So we're going to bring in someone from each group to report back on where they're at, and we have our first group now, which is the community media.
Media centers.
Okay, come on. There you go.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we've come back from break and we've started talking about like pragmatic strategies. Where do we go from here? We've got all these ideas around having a conference in order to produce a presentation for the CRTC in order to have this community media fund continue to exist and actually go to the community media. So we're talking about the conference. How do we get people there? How do we get it funded? And we're also talking about campaign strategy. How do we approach the CRTC? Do we go in all militant, or do we take a reasonable approach that they would recognize and see where that gets us? And then very, very gradually, if it doesn't get us anywhere, very gradually escalate our pressure. So that's where we're at now, and we're almost ready for the report back.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay, so I am going to go get another group to come report back.
You need a gopher.
Yeah.
That light does not make good colors on my camera. C'est stream de couleur à toi. But I get it, you're taping with this, I get it. Ugh.
Guys, you're actually too quiet, so I can't shoot anything.
It's all right.
So you stop.
Yeah,
I'm
stop.
sure-
No, I want you to talk because, okay, she's gone. And now it's the group talking and,
Oh, this is someone we know. Put it on the left.
Yeah, we should put this live.
Ah oui, vous avez la permission de pouvoir la mettre en ligne, la photo de moi qui dort. Allez-y, amusez-vous.
Someone was sleeping instead of working.
Yeah. Got any proof? Yeah, I know
Yes,
you
we do.
Yes, I know you do.
C'est encore live?
Oui, je suis encore live. C'est vrai que je suis live, mais je fouille la caméra. Documenting the documenter.
Well, thanks for the heads up.
And here comes the round number 2.
Victim number 2.
Okay, we'll stand here and I'll do this too. So,
Introduce first. Hold on.
as well.
Whatever you want.
Okay, we're back. This is the second breakout group who have entered into their second round of discussion. So if you just want to say, so I'm going to put this on you too. Just your name and then what group you're in.
So my name is Vince, and I was in the working group rethinking our organizational model. Is that yeah, that was a working group I was in.
And this time, are you talking about next steps or things you could be doing?
Yeah. So right now we're just compressing the input for presentation to the group, and which basically involved our conversation went in 2 segments.
Okay.
The remodeling, the 2 questions we tried to answer was how can we use alternative media to remodel the way society is organized? You know, so people are trying to get grassroots movement going. How can alternative media be the vein or the bloodstream of society reorganizing along more participatory way?
Right. Yeah.
There was that, and then the other part was how do we organize alternative media itself to
Right.
reflect the horizontal and participative character within itself. So that's what we took around that one.
Cool. And are you talking about ideas for how to do either of those now?
Yes,
or?
yes, yeah. We had 2 examples that
Oh, okay.
2 specific examples that we looked at. The one example was the Indie Media Network
Yeah.
from out of the Seattle movement.
Okay.
The weaknesses, the failures, the strengths, and its successes, what kind of made it weaken it over time. And one of the things we realized was that it was the technology overtook that particular movement. The core idea that an alternative media organization should be horizontal remains, but it's just the technology, people move off to Facebook and all the new stuff and kind of abandoned the way it was set up as
Right.
open publishing system. And then the other organization was Jean somebody, he is from a group in Quebec, and they are involved in this whole community organizing going on and how they can use alternative media to be the bridge between all these various spatially placed.
Okay.
And he brought some good ideas about cognitive mapping. I never heard about that before, which basically allows for everybody to be on the same page on the
Right.
conversation so that we don't each have our own idea of something we're trying to deal with.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, that was a little.
You're in the spotlight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was yeah.
Ça, là, faudrait le baisser puis qu'il soit écouté.
I was coming. So what being controlling?
Do that again.
What happened?
Hey, violence faite aux femmes. Hein? Patriarche.
What?
What does it mean?
Système patriarcal, là, le patriarchy.
Ah.
Do you guys know where the press one is? The media one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just across the door. Okay, cool.
Là, on avait choisi là pour avoir le bookcase, pas pour avoir ce bookcase-là, tu sais.
Oh, there's plugs over here. Oh.
Man, I remember these.
Alors, on est rendu à 2 groupes de passé, il y en avait 6 au total, donc il en reste encore 4 à venir. Am I even frame on this?
Hold on. Now you are.
No, I am. So, out of the 6 breakout groups, we've had 2 so far come and did a resume of the talks they're having. And so, which means there are another 4 groups, so 4 more spokesperson, 1 from each group is going to come on the live stream and give us a resume of what they're talking about. And once all the breakout groups are going to be done, we will all be heading back inside the main room and see what's going to come out of there after everybody exposes every little point they've talked about. So here comes round number 3. Now we need the Rocky music, you know. Round number 3.
So we have our third.
Well, yeah, we want to be using that bookcase as the background. Oh, attends un peu, ouais.
If you want to say your name and then what group you were in, and then start with that.
Alright, Matt Davidson, and I was in the media justice group looking at producing media content. And the points that we're going to be bringing back to the whole group aren't so much suggestions as questions to think about what's the role of alternative media. Is it alternative media's responsibility to challenge corporate media, or is it our responsibility to produce content that we wish the corporate media produced for us already? We're also looking at the question of supply and demand in many ways. How do we reach outside of our existing circles? Is it by producing content that we wished everyone else would read or would watch? Or do we produce stuff that's relevant to others and then slowly bring them in that direction? So, yeah, as I said, they're mostly questions, not so much suggestions, but things that we hope that media producers within the alternative media circles will consider.
Awesome, thank you. That's perfect.
Thank you.
And it seems like we're going to be coming back into the full group, so we may not have time to do there's one other group, but we'll just hear from them.
Wasn't there 6 groups?
A few of them disbanded. So
okay, okay.
It makes sense if you want to get set up.
Yeah, okay, well, we are now heading back into the main room. Documenting the document.
Thank you.
God, yes, in here, yes. But it's a beautiful space though, but so hot. Hey. Can cook me a lobster in there. Shout out, Journal Ensemble. And for today only, this is the complaint department.
They're all rejected.
Was the sound and images okay from those?
Some of the sound was a little quiet, but
Okay. Okay. It's fun. Normally I never have somebody to give me feedback right away like this. I gotta phone in my wife feedback with your video.
Are you, did you get the link to the document?
I haven't looked at it.
Okay. Because you can type from here and it'll show up.
So now we are back in the main room. We're gonna have reports back from each group. 3 or 4 items, 3 minutes total. No dilly-dallying. Dilly-dally.
I guess the drinks are okay. Yeah, those are your bread.
Alright, so just to note, we were not aware of it until just very recently, but there's another assembly happening here at 4 o'clock. We thought there was an hour in between, but they're supposed to start at 4. So we're going to go to quarter to 4, and we're going to ask for people's help at the end if you can help us just like get everything together and get out of the room in a quick fashion. So, I think we'll just go through the 5 groups, and hopefully there's a report back from each. Again, the format is basically 3 minutes, and we suggested it was 3 to 4 items, so whatever you have to say, but keep it short. So the first one is the colonization of passionate media, rethinking inclusion and exclusion in alternative media. So, thank you.
Hey, my name is Tim. I'm from Vancouver, and I want to give this report back by the group, even though I only attended the first half of the group. But basically what we came up with when we talked about the exclusion of certain groups from alternative media organizations, specifically around like editor positions and stuff, and that has to do with people from marginalized backgrounds having traumatic connections in the last experience and the lack of connections, and we talked about how it seems that even within left progressive organizations, like the NGOs and other left progressive organizations, they seem to replicate a lot of the hierarchies that exist within mainstream media organizations and other organizations within more corporate society, where there's white people are in different economies, where not how the people with the most experience and stuff get the, and the best connections get their jobs. We also talk about how to include more people from different backgrounds, like women and people of color and stuff. And I think we are looking to leadership from alternative media organizations in taking that up and including more people from different backgrounds. So prioritizing articles by people of color, writers, both in terms of seeking them out and in terms of prioritizing them when people come to writers when they pitch articles, so that organizations have to give up on preconceived notions of what they might be covering this going forwards to some extent, and then also that unpaid internships can reinforce inequality because only certain people that sometimes can afford to actually take them, like someone who's really influenced with their parents can afford to take an unpaid internship much more readily than someone who is a recent immigrant who has to be making money in order to pay their rent and whatnot, and then also people of color, and then also making sure that white people who are taking on the general administrative tasks that require to make these organizations function so that people have power and take on the writing work without having to worry about whether the organization could be able to sustain itself.
Thank you. The next one, I just want to say, if you have flip chart notes, you can also bring them down when you come up or later. Liberation and media. Is there someone who is reporting back?
Hi everyone, my name is Erica. I'm here from St. John's. We basically took two approaches to the topic of liberation. We at first focused on the internal structure of any organization, how it's structured and how that affects how it works internally. And also looking at indie media as a way to shape society in general. So those were our two approaches. It was also interesting how one of the people in our group, Jean from Quebec, he was interested in how to create a citizens' revolution through grassroots mobilizing, local assemblies online, that kind of networking across space and time online, and how to do that. And he talked about software. He had more details on that I can't really speak to here, but it was interesting to hear what he had to say. But also another person in our group, Valentine, his ideas really added to Jean's ideas in the sense that he had a history in the global indie media collective since the 1990s. So it was interesting how his experience with the autonomous organizing models and how these autonomous groups can be globally networked. It was interesting to hear how his ideas are being echoed again today with grassroots momentum in parts of Canada. The challenges, basically the co-optation and the commercialization of this energy, starting in Seattle, and what I mean is the co-optation in the form of Facebook, Twitter, and social media, and how the Indie Media Collective has basically lost a lot of steam. So that was one of the challenges. And then to summarize, we really focused on how the process and the structure really has to reflect the politics. So if you don't have a horizontal structure, we really end up recreating the sort of models we want to get away from. So yeah, that's what we focused on in terms of liberation.
Thank you. And the next group, Media, Justice, and Journalism, Rethinking Reporting and Coverage. Yes.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm from Peterborough/Nagosiawanan. Our group started off by talking pretty broadly around the idea of media justice and content. And there were kind of three, I guess you could say, distinct conversations that were happening. One, looking at the production of media, both in terms of the content, what's being written, what's being filmed, but also in terms of the platform being used. Also talked about how to use existing media more effectively, whether we can get our own content into the CBC, into the Globe and Mail, those sorts of avenues. And finally, we were also talking about media activism and what we can do to be challenging current media structures. During the second half of the breakout session, though, we came up with a number of questions that we like to pose to those of us in the alternative media circle. So it's not so much recommendations as much things to think about. The first is it alternative media's responsibility to challenge corporate media? Or are we supposed to be producing the content and the types of content that we wish corporate media was already producing for us? We are also looking at how we reach outside of the existing circles, outside of the left, outside of the people already reading our sorts of publications or watching our videos. How do we do that? Is it a supply or demand type thing? Are we supposed to be producing things that we want people to be reading? Or are we supposed to be producing things that other people are going to be interested in already and then drawing them in from there? And finally, there was a conversation as well about the very framing of the idea of alternative media. By framing it like that, it's clear we are alternative to something. We are independent of something. And the group found that an interesting concept that is worth reflecting on. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the final theme-based group, mutual aid and alternative media, rethinking funding and capacity. So is that, yeah?
Hi everyone, my name is Tim. So just quickly, when we first started the session, we kind of talked about some ways of people's concerns about funding capacities. So one of them was around how do we network material networking, so sharing content, resources through our different networks and how we can expand those. Another is looking at how we can better use crowdfunding. We also talked about how to collaborate with funding, so closely related. How do we create physical infrastructure is another thing that's kind of as far as funding and capacity. How do media organizations support journalists? So if people are independent journalists, how do we ensure that media organizations support them? And also how to promote alt media and a critique. Sorry, how do we promote alt media and developing a critique of corporate social media? So tools like Facebook and Twitter that are actually corporate run. We didn't get to address all of those, but they all kind of converged in some proposals that we can come out with. We didn't really have a chance to discuss the merits of each proposal, so there's no consensus, but just kind of had general ideas of how we could address some of these questions. So one was to try to consolidate content on alternative social media networks that's promoted through through corporate social networks. So use corporate social media in order to promote new alternative social media networks. To develop a pamphlet that discusses the importance of alternative media and include concrete examples of those alternative media and distribute it primarily where we have potential audiences. So, for example, here at a social forum, making sure that everyone who comes to something like this knows about the existence of the different alternative media in Canada. Another was to run a campaign about redirecting public funds into an alternative media fund. So an overarching idea of that was to create a broad fund that would be supported by alternative media organizations across the country to be able to share funding and financial resources, and that part of that be that public funding that would be a campaign for public funding to go into that. But the big emphasis was to create a fund for community media. Another one was to build a visibility network for alternative media, so working together in order to increase just our own general visibility, to reach more people, and through that we get more financial and material support from people. And then finally to develop a crowdfunding campaign for diverse forms of alternative media. So doing one crowdfunding type campaign, but that wouldn't just go to one media organization, but rather would be distributed to many, and would help to highlight the breadth and diversity of alternative media in the country. And I've used alternative media, but we had it in quotes all through this because there was also, like the last group, a critique of this idea that we're only an alternative and that we're not something that's of our own, but that we're defined in kind of opposition to what the corporate media is doing. And so we should work on breaking out of that kind of mold too. Thanks.
stakeholders together. And yeah.
So it actually picks up on the bullet, the running campaign to redirect public funds into an overarching community media fund for previous group. So our 3 big points was there is a CRTC policy review of both community radio and community television coming up, we know in about 2015 or 2016. So the main goal is to organize a stakeholder conference before that time. There was a lot of discussion around what groups to make sure we include and some debate about whether to engage industry and some of the government agencies in that conference and how we might do that. A little bit about timing, although it has to be discussed more, whether the election would affect or impact that, how it might be funded. We had great ideas in the room. With the idea that out of that conference we could end up with a really credible proposal for how digital community media policy in Canada should look, that we could then take to CRTC and Heritage for the policy review. So it's not a bunch of disparate groups, but we have, you know, a big groundswell of, what's the word I'm trying to say?
Community support.
Yeah, exactly. Community support and specific proposals that have come out of it and which are supported by a lot of people going into that. And in parallel, as I mentioned before, is to get government to redirect this huge cash cow of money that's supposed to go on community media, currently the cable companies squander, put toward that vision so that the outcome of the hearing would be this new community media fund that we want. And then lastly, we shared our contact information as we were supposed to do. We'd like to invite anyone here that's interested in this idea. We didn't get to come to the breakout session, or perhaps some of the previous group that was interested in this idea would like to participate in the coordinating committee for the conference, to find me or the others in the corner here today, Gretchen, and leave us your contact information before you leave, and we'll be recontacting the people that came to the breakout session too. I'm sure some of them will continue with that committee too. So thanks very much. We got great ideas from everyone, so thank you.
Thank you, and just to note that we will be coordinating Connection further. So I did want to say we had email sign-up lists for each group, and I think we've got 3 of the 5 at the front. So if there are some still of those sheets out there, please bring them up before you leave here. And just to say, the one other breakout group that has been proposed about moving the assembly forward, it's been kind of delayed. So yeah, you can talk about that.
Yeah, okay. Well, the issue is, unfortunately, time's been cut short. I would want to take ideas from the group, either about thoughts about people's work, or like how to continue the media assembly forward, but we have to be done in 10 minutes. So I'm just wondering, maybe I could get a sense from the room, if people want to keep continuing to work in the future as an assembly, whether potentially working towards another gathering or trying to create some sort of networking online to keep working through these various proposals. How are people feeling? Are we wanting to continue on as a media assembly after this? Show of hands? Yeah. All right. And if not, I'm wondering, are there any other kind of proposals or models that people would like to see from this in terms of any networked gatherings? Yeah.
You might have already covered this, I came in a little bit late and that, but if you're going to set up some kind of a listserv of people that are in this group, keep us in the loop about things that are going on. Maybe people are offering technical support with people that are trying to do stuff, not to mention ways of sharing things, and just to keep us up to date with what's going on an ongoing basis. I don't want to get emails like that.
Yeah, well, we'll have everyone's contact. This group came together just for the People's Social Forum, just to organize this assembly. Right. We had no plans to kind of continue on unless there was willingness from the group to, either step forward and help with that. There's some interest, but a listserv is definitely doable and easy. Yep. So we could do that. Any other proposals of kind of keeping in touch? Yeah, so it's a light in my face, so I don't know who you are, but.
One of the things that I just want to share is that at 4 o'clock underneath the tent, we've got one of our Mohawk men that's going to be explaining Malcolm, then right following him is going to be Algonquin grandmothers to cook them, because we have a situation here that's 2 hours away up at Barrier Lake, where they're under the gun, they're on the front line, they're stopping, clear cutting right now as we speak. They have information they have to share there. After that meeting, we want as many people together to start brainstorming on how we can help them. This is a situation that's going on right now, and it's only two hours away. Okay, so we're going to start brainstorming here. This group here is so darn important. Ultimately, you don't know how much as Native people, I went home with people, we rely on you guys to get information out there. We need to do it ourselves, but you guys already have the experience to do it. You need to help us as much as you can. And one thing when you're dealing with Native people, you need to find out who the correct people are to deal with. I've seen so many times in the past where alternative media have got a hold of the wrong people, so the wrong information got out there. Okay, so it's very hard to sometimes differentiate who you're supposed to talk to, do your due diligence, and find the correct people, because you guys are very, very, very important. I can't stress how important you guys are. But at 4 o'clock, be over there, and at 5:30, there's the grandmothers, and then we're going to start strategizing. Yeah.
4 o'clock where? So we're wrapping up at quarter 2. So if you just stick around for 5 minutes, if anyone has questions, to Dr. Andy, but also 4 o'clock under the tent. Yeah. Thank you. And Tim.
Yeah, just as an idea for following up and the fact that people were critiquing kind of corporate social media, maybe we could look at creating a group on we.riseup.net. It's kind of I don't know how much it's being used right now, but I know we set a call before to kind of coordinate, and you can create groups and share information and attachments and communicate. So it's a bit more involved than just a listserv, because you can actually share documents and kind of collaborate a little bit more on there. So maybe something like that could be useful.
What was that website again?
Yeah, it's www.riseup.net. So it's started by the Rise Up Collective, or a kind of indie media tech group in the US. And yeah, it's a pretty good site, and it's also secure, which is nice as well.
I think that this group, that put on the assembly is a tremendous amount of work. And I was on the listserv, but I didn't get a chance to participate in it. I'm very, very grateful for the work that you've put in thus far, and I think it would be a total shame to kind of lose the momentum, because we started to build a really good foundation for an alternative media community, a community of independent people who are doing their own thing, but we still need very similar resources. So having access to a place to get those resources is powerful, but I was thinking that in conjunction with the Community Media Center, maybe if there is a conference that's focused around bringing together stakeholders, all producers of independent media are stakeholders too, so it would make sense to kind of do some sort of almost like a joint venture, or at least have some meetings that are specific to growing alternative media. It's not going to slow down, right? Alternative media is just going to, people are going to keep creating content. And one thing we don't have is a guideline for independent media content creation, because a lot of people who come into it are not journalists, so they don't understand those facets, and they don't have the support to gain those skills. So for me, I see a lot of opportunity for collaboration, and I think that needs a physical space. As much as I value online resources, I think we do physically need to convene and over something as important as addressing this funding that the CRTC has, maybe not for very long.
Thank you. So I think there were 2 more hands, and maybe we have about a minute for each of those people. So, yeah.
Well, very quickly, not to override the Rise Up gang, but this weekend, 99media.org, we launched our brand new website, and including with it is a brand new social network. You can make pages, make groups, tag in your friends, so an all new way to engage and keep contact with people, and as well as stay in touch with the daily news, the live stream, and Everything 99 Media does, including all our short movies, documentaries, it's all on there. 99media.org.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for doing this live stream. Very nice.
Just a special shout out due for the live stream to the Rabble.ca gang that's backing me up this weekend.
They're not with Rabble.
No, well, he was. Well,
God does a podcast for Rabble.
Those guys.
I just wanted to congratulate the person who has been typing up what you're
Okay, so in terms of next steps, just to wrap up, and so this is all going to be shared on our Tumblr, and the Tumblr address is again on the booklet. I encourage everyone to please take as many booklets as you can and distribute it to people in your activist media organizations. And please also sign up, and we'll keep in touch through a listserv. The organizers for this assembly will debrief, and we'll see if we have capacity to at least start to think about maybe a gathering of some kind. A lot of people have been talking about, that's it.
So we only have 3 of these, so we're missing 2. If you're independent, we'd love to get it from you.
Having an activist media conference or gathering of some kind to envision more about how to support each other, share resources, and talk about these 5 elements. So please sign up with the sheets and take booklets, and that's your book. Please don't run away. In terms of the spirit of mutual aid, can we please also clean up for the next assembly? And thank you everyone for participating.
Alors, c'est la fin de cette webdition. This is the end of this live stream. Stay tuned on our website. I just might come back a little bit later on. Restez à l'écoute de nos réseaux sociaux et de notre site web pour savoir si je reviens en ondes. Alors, merci tout le monde d'avoir été là. Thank you everybody for having been here. See you all later.